There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that exhaustion is not always caused by hard work. Sometimes the greatest fatigue comes from carrying what should have been released long ago. Many people spend years trying to fix every relationship, satisfy every expectation, and hold on to every opportunity, believing that persistence is always a virtue. But wisdom teaches a different lesson. Not everything deserves to be carried. Not every battle deserves to be fought. And not every person deserves unlimited access to your heart. Inner peace is one of the rarest treasures in modern life. Yet countless people give it away without realizing it. They sacrifice their peace to gain approval, maintain toxic relationships, or chase endless distractions. They wake up every morning feeling emotionally heavy without understanding why. The problem is often not their workload. It is the emotional weight they continue to carry. Detachment does not mean becoming cold or uncaring. It means becoming wise enough to recognize what strengthens your life and what slowly weakens it. It means learning that love without boundaries becomes suffering, kindness without wisdom becomes exploitation, and ambition without balance becomes burnout. Your mind is like a garden. If you allow weeds to grow unchecked, they will eventually choke the flowers. In the same way, negative influences, unhealthy attachments, and constant emotional conflict slowly destroy your peace if you refuse to remove them. Every day you delay, they grow stronger. Every day you tolerate what drains you, you become weaker. True strength is not measured by how much pain you can endure. It is measured by your courage to let go of what no longer serves your growth. The strongest people are not those who carry every burden. They are those who know which burdens were never theirs to carry. Today, you will learn why protecting your peace is one of the greatest responsibilities you have. You will understand how detachment is not an act of giving up, but an act of choosing yourself. You will discover that every peaceful life begins with one brave decision: to release everything that steals your energy before it steals your future. Most people believe that exhaustion comes from working too hard, sleeping too little, or having too many responsibilities. While these things certainly affect your body, they are not always the true source of your deepest fatigue. There is another kind of exhaustion that cannot be cured by a weekend of rest or a long vacation. It is the exhaustion that comes from constantly giving your energy to things that quietly drain your spirit. This type of fatigue builds slowly, almost invisibly, until one day you realize that you no longer feel excited, peaceful, or motivated. That is why the first step toward protecting your peace is learning to recognize what is secretly stealing your energy. Everything in your life either gives you strength or takes it away. Every conversation, every habit, every environment, every relationship, and every thought has an effect on your mind. Some experiences leave you feeling inspired and calm. Others leave you feeling anxious, frustrated, or emotionally empty. The problem is that many people become so accustomed to these draining influences that they begin to believe this constant heaviness is normal. It is not normal. It is a warning. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with stones. At first, the weight seems manageable. You convince yourself that you are strong enough to carry it. As time passes, more stones are added. One represents a toxic friendship. Another represents the constant need to impress others. Another is the habit of comparing yourself with people whose lives you only see through carefully edited moments. Then come guilt, resentment, fear of failure, and the inability to say no. Eventually, the backpack becomes so heavy that even simple tasks feel difficult. The problem is not that you became weak. The problem is that you never stopped to remove the unnecessary weight. Negative people are one of the greatest sources of invisible exhaustion. Some individuals constantly complain, criticize, gossip, or spread fear. Every interaction with them leaves your mind unsettled. They rarely celebrate your victories because they are too focused on problems. Their negativity slowly becomes part of your own thinking if you remain around them long enough. This does not mean you should judge or hate them. Everyone is fighting battles you may never see. But compassion does not require constant exposure. You can wish someone well while protecting your own peace. Another hidden drain is comparison. Modern life makes it incredibly easy to compare yourself with everyone around you. Every scroll through social media presents another reason to believe you are behind. Someone appears richer, happier, more successful, more attractive, or more accomplished. Yet comparison ignores reality. You are comparing your everyday life with someone else's carefully selected highlights. The more you compare, the less grateful you become for your own journey. Gratitude disappears, and frustration takes its place. The energy that could have been used to improve yourself is wasted, wishing you were someone else. Unhealthy habits also steal your energy in ways that often go unnoticed. Constant distractions, endless entertainment, procrastination, poor sleep, and uncontrolled emotional reactions slowly weaken your ability to focus. Every unnecessary distraction divides your attention. Every impulsive decision makes discipline more difficult tomorrow. Peace cannot grow in a mind that is constantly overstimulated. Your attention is one of your greatest resources. Wherever it goes, your energy follows. There is also the burden of emotional attachment. Many people tie their happiness to circumstances they cannot control. They believe they can only be at peace if another person changes, if life becomes easier, or if every plan succeeds exactly as expected. But life has never promised certainty. When your emotional stability depends entirely on external events, your peace becomes fragile. Every disappointment feels like a personal defeat because you have attached your identity to outcomes instead of your character. Learning to recognize these patterns requires honest self-observation. At the end of each day, ask yourself simple questions. Which conversations gave me energy? Which ones left me emotionally exhausted? Which habits made me feel stronger? Which habits left me feeling empty? Which thoughts brought clarity? And which thoughts filled my mind with fear? These questions are powerful because awareness always comes before change. You cannot remove what you refuse to acknowledge. Many people spend years trying to solve their problems without first identifying what is creating them. They continue watering weeds while wondering why flowers refuse to grow. Growth begins the moment you become willing to examine your life without excuses. This is not about blaming others. It is about accepting responsibility for what you allow into your mind every single day. Remember that your energy is limited. Every moment spent arguing with negativity is a moment that cannot be invested in learning, creating, loving, or growing. Every unnecessary worry steals attention from the present moment. Every unhealthy attachment quietly demands emotional payment. If you ignore these hidden costs, they eventually become too expensive. Your peace is too valuable to be surrendered carelessly. The wiser you become, the more carefully you choose where your attention goes, who influences your thinking, and which habits shape your days. You begin to understand that protecting your energy is not selfish, it is necessary. A peaceful mind is built one decision at a time, and every decision begins with recognizing what truly deserves a place in your life and what quietly destroys it from within. Many people believe that success comes from doing more, saying yes more often, staying available to everyone, and trying to solve every problem they encounter. But this mindset quietly creates exhaustion. Every conversation you engage in, every argument you continue, every distraction you entertain, and every obligation you accept demands something from you. The currency being spent is not money. It is your attention. Once your attention is scattered, your energy follows. Once your energy is depleted, your peace begins to disappear. This is why one of the greatest forms of wisdom is learning that not everything deserves your time and attention. Your attention is one of the most valuable resources you possess, because whatever receives your attention eventually shapes your mind. If you constantly focus on criticism, your confidence begins to shrink. If you spend your days comparing yourself with others, gratitude quietly fades away. If you repeatedly entertain unnecessary drama, your thoughts become restless even when you are alone. The mind cannot remain peaceful while it is constantly feeding on negativity. Every thought you choose to nourish either strengthens your character or weakens it. Imagine carrying a backpack every day. At first, someone places a small stone inside. It feels insignificant. Then another stone is added, followed by another. Soon the backpack becomes painfully heavy. You begin wondering why every step feels difficult. Yet the problem was never the walking. It was everything you refused to remove. Life works in the same way. The small distractions, unhealthy relationships, unnecessary responsibilities, and endless worries accumulate until they become emotional weight. Most people never stop to ask themselves whether every burden inside that backpack truly belongs to them. Many people fear saying no because they worry about disappointing others. They believe that protecting everyone else's feelings is more important than protecting their own well-being. But every unnecessary yes often becomes a silent no to yourself. Every time you agree to something that violates your values, steals your peace, or consumes your energy without purpose, you slowly teach yourself that your needs matter less than everyone else's expectations. Over time, this creates resentment, fatigue, and emotional emptiness. Learning to choose where your attention goes is not selfish, it is responsible. A focused mind produces better decisions, stronger relationships, and greater emotional stability. A distracted mind reacts impulsively, worries constantly, and struggles to enjoy the present moment. The quality of your attention determines the quality of your life because your experiences are shaped less by what happens around you and more by what you consistently focus on. There will always be people inviting you into unnecessary conflicts. Some thrive on arguments because they seek validation through emotional reactions. Others constantly complain without ever seeking solutions. If you absorb every complaint, every insult, every opinion, and every expectation, you slowly surrender control over your own emotional state. Peace is not lost all at once. It disappears one unnecessary reaction at a time. This is why emotional discipline is so important. Before giving your attention to anything, ask yourself simple questions. Will this matter a year from now? Does this help me grow? Does this bring clarity or confusion? Am I responding because it aligns with my values or simply because I feel pressured? These questions create space between impulse and action. In that space, wisdom begins to grow. There is also great freedom in accepting that you cannot fix everything. You cannot heal every wounded person. You cannot convince everyone to understand your intentions. You cannot control how others think, speak, or behave. The moment you stop carrying responsibilities that were never yours, your heart becomes lighter. Acceptance is not weakness. It is recognizing the limits of your control and investing your energy where it can truly make a difference. Consider the sun. It shines every day without seeking approval from the clouds. Some days the sky is clear, and some days storms cover its light, but the sun does not argue with the weather. It simply continues to do its work. In the same way, your purpose should not depend on every opinion or obstacle that appears in your path. Stay committed to what matters instead of being distracted by everything that does not. Protecting your attention also means being intentional about what you consume. The books you read, the conversations you have, the videos you watch, and the people you spend time with all become ingredients that shape your mindset. A healthy mind is built through healthy input. If you constantly feed your mind fear, anger, gossip, and comparison, peace becomes difficult to maintain. But if you nourish it with wisdom, discipline, gratitude, and meaningful learning, your inner world gradually becomes stronger than external chaos. As you grow, you will notice that maturity is not measured by how many opportunities you accept, but by how wisely you choose between them. Not every invitation deserves your presence. Not every debate deserves your voice. Not every distraction deserves your curiosity. Sometimes the most powerful decision you can make is to quietly walk away and preserve the energy needed for what truly matters. In the end, your life is built from thousands of small decisions about where you place your attention. Every moment spent on purpose strengthens your future. Every moment wasted on what drains you weakens your peace. Choose carefully. Guard your attention with wisdom. Give your time to people who inspire growth, your energy to work that reflects your values, and your heart to pursuits that bring lasting fulfillment. When you become selective about what deserves your focus, you do not lose opportunities. You gain clarity, freedom, and a peace that no outside circumstance can easily take away. Letting go is one of the most misunderstood forms of strength. Many people believe that walking away means you have given up, that releasing someone or something means you have failed, or that detachment is a sign of weakness. But true wisdom teaches the opposite. Sometimes the strongest decision you can make is not to fight harder, but to stop fighting battles that are slowly destroying your peace. There is a profound difference between quitting because you are afraid and letting go because you have grown. Growth teaches you that not everything is meant to stay, and not everything that enters your life deserves a permanent place in your heart. One of the greatest mistakes people make is holding on to what constantly hurts them, simply because they have invested time, emotions, or effort into it. They tell themselves that things will change if they just try a little harder. They continue giving chances to people who repeatedly disrespect them. They remain trapped in habits that rob them of confidence. They keep chasing approval from those who never intended to appreciate them. Every day they carry this emotional burden, believing that endurance alone is a virtue. Yet endurance without wisdom becomes self-destruction. Peaceful detachment begins with acceptance. Acceptance does not mean you agree with everything that happened. It does not mean what happened was fair. It simply means you stop arguing with reality. You stop wishing people were different from who they have consistently shown themselves to be. You stop expecting yesterday to become tomorrow. Acceptance frees your mind from endless resistance and allows you to direct your energy toward what you can actually control: your own actions, your own choices, and your own future. Many people confuse forgiveness with allowing harmful behavior to continue. They think forgiving someone means inviting them back into the same position where they can hurt them again. But forgiveness and access are not the same thing. You can forgive someone without giving them another opportunity to damage your peace. You can release resentment while still maintaining healthy boundaries. Wisdom knows that compassion does not require self-sacrifice. It is possible to wish someone well from a distance while protecting your own well-being. Hatred creates invisible chains. The person who hurt you may continue living their life while your mind remains trapped, replaying painful memories. Anger demands constant attention. Revenge consumes valuable energy. Bitterness quietly poisons your thoughts until it begins affecting every relationship and every opportunity that follows. The tragedy is that many people remain emotionally connected to those they claim they want to forget because they continue feeding those memories with resentment every single day. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones during a long journey. At first, the weight seems manageable, but mile after mile, your shoulders begin to ache, your pace slows, and exhaustion takes over. Eventually, you realize that the journey itself is not the problem. The unnecessary weight is. Emotional baggage works exactly the same way. Every unresolved grudge, every unhealthy attachment, every desire to prove someone wrong becomes another stone you carry. The more stones you collect, the harder it becomes to move forward. Peaceful detachment means setting the backpack down. It means refusing to carry emotional burdens that no longer serve your growth. This decision is rarely dramatic. Often, it happens quietly. You stop responding to every insult. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop chasing relationships where respect is absent. You stop trying to convince others of your worth because you no longer measure your value by their opinion. This kind of detachment requires emotional maturity. Your ego will often whisper that you need the last word, that you must prove your point, or that walking away makes you appear weak. But your inner wisdom knows something greater. Silence is often more powerful than endless arguments. Distance is often healthier than constant conflict. Some victories are won not by defeating another person, but by refusing to let their behavior disturb your peace. There will always be people who misunderstand your decision to step away. Some will call you selfish because they benefited from your lack of boundaries. Others may accuse you of changing simply because you no longer tolerate what once exhausted you. Do not allow guilt to become another chain. Growth naturally changes your standards. The people who truly respect you will also respect your need for peace. As you continue growing, you will discover that life becomes lighter. Your thoughts become clearer because they are no longer crowded with unnecessary conflict. Your energy returns because it is no longer wasted on endless emotional battles. Your confidence grows because it is rooted in self-respect instead of external validation. Most importantly, you begin experiencing a quiet kind of happiness that comes from knowing your peace no longer depends on controlling other people or changing situations beyond your control. Remember that letting go is not an act of hatred. It is an act of wisdom. It is choosing healing over revenge, clarity over confusion, and freedom over emotional imprisonment. Every time you release what drains your spirit without carrying bitterness in your heart, you make room for something far more valuable. You make room for peace, and peace is one treasure that becomes more precious every time you choose to protect it. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The wind is loud, the rain is relentless, and everything around you is moving without control. Now imagine another person standing beside you. The same storm surrounds them, yet they remain calm. Their breathing is steady, their mind is clear, and their actions are deliberate. The difference is not the storm itself. The difference is what each person allows to happen within. Life will never stop presenting challenges, criticism, disappointment, and uncertainty. You cannot command the world to become quiet, but you can train your mind to remain undisturbed even when everything around you is chaotic. Many people spend their lives trying to control circumstances they have no power over. They want everyone to understand them, everyone to appreciate them, and every situation to unfold exactly as planned. When reality refuses to cooperate, frustration grows. Stress becomes constant. peace disappears. Yet emotional freedom begins the moment you understand one simple truth. Your greatest responsibility is not to control the world, it is to control yourself. Your emotions are powerful servants but dangerous masters. If every opinion changes your mood, then other people control your happiness. If every obstacle destroys your confidence, then your confidence was never truly yours. If every insult steals your peace, then you have handed strangers the keys to your inner world. A disciplined mind refuses to give away that authority. It recognizes that peace is too valuable to be placed in someone else's hands. Think of a mountain. Through every season, it remains where it is. Snow covers it, rain falls upon it, strong winds strike it, the sun burns it. Yet the mountain does not chase the clouds or argue with the weather. It simply remains grounded. Your mind should become like that mountain. Let circumstances come and go without allowing them to shake the foundation of who you are. This kind of stability does not appear overnight. It is built through daily practice. Every difficult conversation is an opportunity to practice patience. Every disappointment is an opportunity to strengthen resilience. Every criticism is an opportunity to develop humility without losing confidence. Growth is not found in comfort. It is created in the moments when you consciously choose wisdom instead of reaction. Most suffering comes not from events themselves, but from the stories we attach to them. A delayed opportunity becomes, I will never succeed. One rejection becomes, I am not good enough. One mistake becomes, I always fail. The mind begins creating prisons from temporary experiences. But a disciplined person learns to question these thoughts instead of believing every one of them. They ask, is this thought helping me grow, or is it stealing my peace? That single question creates space between emotion and action. Silence is another powerful teacher. Many people react immediately because they fear being misunderstood or overlooked. They feel compelled to defend every accusation and answer every criticism. But not every opinion deserves your response. Sometimes the greatest display of strength is choosing silence. Silence allows emotions to settle before decisions are made. It protects you from saying words you will later regret. It reminds you that not every battle deserves your energy. Emotional discipline also requires accepting that discomfort is part of life. You cannot become mentally strong while avoiding every difficult emotion. Fear, sadness, disappointment, and uncertainty are natural experiences. They become destructive only when you allow them to define your identity. Feel the emotion without becoming the emotion. Observe it, learn from it, and let it pass like clouds moving across the sky. Every emotion is temporary unless you continue feeding it with endless attention. Your daily habits shape the strength of your mind more than dramatic moments ever will. A few minutes of quiet reflection every morning trains awareness. Reading meaningful books expands perspective. Exercising your body strengthens your ability to endure discomfort. Limiting unnecessary distractions protects your attention. Speaking honestly strengthens your character. Keeping promises to yourself builds confidence. Small disciplines practiced consistently become the invisible foundation of an unshakable mind. There will always be people who misunderstand your intentions. Some will criticize your choices simply because they cannot understand your path. Others may project their fears, anger, or insecurities onto you. Remember that their reactions belong to them, not to you. You do not need to carry emotions that were never yours. Respond with respect when necessary, but never surrender your peace to satisfy someone else's expectations. Every challenge you face can either become a chain that limits you or a lesson that strengthens you. The choice is made in your mind before it is seen in your actions. Strong people are not those who never experience pain. They are those who refuse to let pain become permanent. They understand that every hardship carries an opportunity to become wiser, calmer, and more resilient. As you continue through life, make this commitment to yourself. Do not allow temporary chaos to create permanent confusion within you. Protect your thoughts with the same care you would protect your home. Guard your attention, because where your attention goes, your energy follows. Build a character that remains steady when circumstances change. When your mind becomes disciplined, the world loses its power to control your peace. And once you possess that kind of inner stability, you no longer fear difficult people, uncertain situations, or unexpected setbacks. You move through life with quiet confidence, knowing that while you cannot always choose what happens around you, you can always choose the person you become in response. Many people believe that the key to a better life is simply removing negative influences. While that is certainly important, it is only half of the journey. Nature teaches us that an empty space never remains empty for long. When a tree falls in a forest, new plants begin to grow in its place. When you remove unhealthy habits, toxic relationships, or destructive patterns from your life, you must intentionally replace them with something that strengthens your mind and spirit. Otherwise, the same emptiness that once held negativity will eventually invite it back. This is why detachment is not about creating a life of isolation. It is about creating a life filled with things that nourish you instead of draining you. Every decision you make either adds energy to your life or quietly takes it away. Every conversation, every habit, every thought, and every environment influences the person you are becoming. If you continue to surround yourself with what weakens you, your potential will remain buried beneath exhaustion. But when you intentionally choose what builds you, your entire life begins to change. Think carefully about the people you spend the most time with. Do they encourage your growth, or do they constantly pull you back into fear, gossip, complaints, and unnecessary drama? Some people leave you feeling inspired after every conversation. Others leave you emotionally exhausted even if you only spoke for a few minutes. The difference is not always obvious in the moment, but over months and years, it becomes life-changing. You cannot build a peaceful mind while constantly living inside someone else's chaos. Compassion is valuable, but carrying everyone's emotional burdens is not your responsibility. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself and even for others is to create healthy boundaries. Healthy relationships do not demand that you sacrifice your peace. They respect your limits, celebrate your growth, and encourage your highest potential. Choose relationships that help you become wiser, calmer, and stronger instead of relationships that constantly leave you anxious and emotionally depleted. The same principle applies to your daily habits. Every habit is either building your future or quietly destroying it. Many people underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. They believe that major transformations require dramatic changes. In reality, your life is shaped by what you repeat every single day. Reading a few pages of a meaningful book, spending a few minutes in silence, exercising regularly, practicing gratitude, or learning a new skill may seem insignificant today, but over time, these simple practices reshape your character. Growth is rarely dramatic, it is quiet. It happens while no one is watching. Just as a seed grows beneath the soil long before anyone sees a tree, your discipline develops long before the world notices your success. Do not become discouraged if your efforts seem invisible. The strongest roots always grow underground first. Your environment also plays a powerful role in your inner peace. A cluttered room often reflects a cluttered mind. Constant noise makes it difficult to hear your own thoughts. Endless distractions weaken your ability to focus. Creating a peaceful environment is not about perfection. It is about intentionally designing a space that supports clarity rather than confusion. Sometimes cleaning your room, organizing your workspace, or spending time in nature can calm your mind more than hours of worrying. Equally important is the content you allow into your mind. In today's world, your attention is constantly being competed for. News, social media, endless entertainment, and endless opinions can easily consume your mental energy. If you feed your mind with fear, comparison, and negativity every day, you should not be surprised when your thoughts become restless. Your mind becomes what it repeatedly consumes. Protect it with the same care you would protect your body. Feed it wisdom instead of noise. Feed it truth instead of endless distraction. Do not confuse comfort with growth. Comfort feels safe, but growth often feels uncomfortable. Learning something new challenges your beliefs. Discipline demands effort. Honest self-reflection forces you to face uncomfortable truths. Yet every meaningful improvement begins with temporary discomfort. The pain of growth is always lighter than the pain of remaining the same. One of the greatest replacements for emotional exhaustion is purpose. A person with a clear purpose wastes less energy trying to impress others. They become less distracted by criticism because they know where they are going. Purpose acts like a compass during difficult times. It reminds you why your sacrifices matter and why temporary setbacks should not stop your progress. There will always be moments when old habits try to return. You may feel tempted to revisit relationships that once hurt you or fall back into patterns that once gave you temporary comfort. In those moments, remember why you chose to walk away. The familiar is not always healthy. Sometimes people return to pain simply because it feels familiar. Wisdom reminds you that familiarity should never be mistaken for peace. Real transformation happens When your daily choices begin to reflect the person you want to become, instead of asking, what do I need to escape from? Begin asking, what kind of life am I building? That single question changes everything. It shifts your attention away from fear and toward purpose. It encourages you to invest your energy where it can produce lasting results. Every peaceful life is built through intentional decisions. Every meaningful relationship begins with mutual respect. Every strong character is formed through consistent discipline. Every calm mind is protected by healthy boundaries. You do not create a fulfilling life by avoiding every difficulty. You create it by choosing, day after day, what deserves your time, your attention, and your heart. Remember this: life will always offer you distractions, conflicts, and temporary pleasures, but it will also offer opportunities for wisdom, growth, and genuine fulfillment. The direction you choose depends on what you repeatedly give your energy to. Invest your energy in learning. Invest it in discipline. Invest it in kindness, patience, meaningful work, and people who encourage your best self. The more you nourish what strengthens your spirit, the less power anything draining will have over your life. Eventually, peace will no longer be something you search for. It will become the natural result of the life you have intentionally created. Peace is one of the few treasures in life that cannot be purchased, borrowed, or inherited. It is built through daily choices, protected by discipline, and strengthened by wisdom. Many people spend years chasing success, recognition, wealth, and approval, believing these achievements will finally bring them happiness. Yet even after reaching many of their goals, they often discover that something is still missing. Their minds remain restless. Their hearts remain heavy. The reason is simple. Peace does not come from having everything you want. It comes from refusing to keep what constantly steals your joy. Every decision you make either protects your peace or weakens it. Every conversation you entertain, every habit you repeat, every relationship you maintain, and every thought you allow into your mind is shaping the quality of your inner world. Most people pay close attention to their finances, their appearance, and their careers, but very few protect their emotional and mental well-being with the same seriousness. They allow endless negativity to enter their lives without realizing its cost. They tolerate disrespect because they fear loneliness. They accept constant stress because they believe it is normal. They keep saying yes when every part of them wants to say no. Slowly, without noticing, they begin losing themselves. Your peace is like a flame. It does not disappear all at once. It fades little by little. One unnecessary argument, one unhealthy friendship, 1 hour of comparing yourself to others, one night spent worrying about things beyond your control. None of these moments seem significant on their own, but together they create a life filled with tension instead of clarity. The danger is not the single event. The danger is the repeated habit of allowing small disturbances to become permanent residents in your mind. Learning to protect your peace begins with understanding that boundaries are not acts of selfishness. They are acts of wisdom. A person without boundaries eventually becomes emotionally exhausted because everyone else decides where their energy goes. When you never protect your time, people will waste it. When you never protect your attention, distractions will consume it. When you never protect your emotions, negativity will eventually control them. Boundaries are not walls built to keep love away. They are gates that allow only what supports your growth to enter. Many people confuse kindness with endless sacrifice. They believe being a good person means always being available, always forgiving without change, always carrying other people's emotional burdens, and always putting themselves last. But kindness without wisdom becomes self-destruction. You cannot continue pouring water into someone else's cup while your own remains empty. Eventually, you will have nothing left to give. Protecting your peace allows you to remain genuinely kind, because your compassion comes from strength rather than exhaustion. One of the greatest skills you can develop is learning the difference between what deserves your attention and what deserves your silence. Not every criticism requires a response. Not every disagreement deserves your participation. Not every opinion needs your approval. The world constantly invites you into unnecessary battles. It presents endless opportunities to become offended, distracted, anxious, and emotionally reactive. Wisdom is knowing that declining these invitations is often the greatest victory. Protecting your peace also requires accepting that you cannot control everything. You cannot control how people think about you. You cannot control whether someone appreciates your efforts. You cannot control unexpected changes, disappointments, or setbacks, the harder you try to control everything outside yourself, the more powerless you become. Real freedom begins when you shift your attention from controlling life to controlling your response to life. Your reactions are always your responsibility. That is where your true power lives. Silence becomes one of your greatest allies. In silence, you stop chasing validation. In silence, your emotions settle like water after a storm. In silence, you begin hearing your own thoughts instead of the endless opinions surrounding you. Many people fear silence because it forces them to face themselves. But those who embrace it discover that peace has been waiting there all along. A calm mind sees solutions that an anxious mind cannot recognize. Protecting your peace also means choosing your environment carefully. The people around you influence your thoughts more than you realize. Spend enough time with negative people, and negativity begins to feel normal. Spend enough time with people who constantly complain, gossip, and criticize, and your own thinking slowly changes. On the other hand, when you surround yourself with individuals who value honesty, discipline, gratitude, and personal growth, your mind naturally becomes stronger. Your environment either feeds your peace or slowly consumes it. Gratitude is another powerful guardian of peace. The mind that constantly focuses on what is missing can never rest. There will always be someone richer, more successful, more talented, or seemingly happier. Comparison has no finish line, but gratitude shifts your attention toward what already exists in your life. It reminds you that peace grows wherever appreciation is practiced. When you learn to value what you have instead of constantly chasing what you lack, your heart becomes lighter and your perspective becomes clearer. Perhaps the greatest lesson of all is realizing that peace is not a destination waiting somewhere in the future. It is a daily practice. It is found in saying no without guilt. It is found in walking away from unnecessary conflict. It is found in forgiving without reopening old wounds. It is found in choosing discipline over impulse, purpose over distraction, and growth over comfort. Every peaceful life is built one wise decision at a time. As you continue your journey, remember that protecting your peace is not about escaping life. It is about living life with clarity, courage, and intention. Challenges will still come. Difficult people will still exist. Unexpected problems will still appear. But when your mind is disciplined and your heart is no longer attached to everything that once controlled you, those challenges lose their power to disturb you. You become steady instead of shaken, calm instead of chaotic, focused instead of fearful. Never feel guilty for protecting what allows you to become your best self. Your peace is not a luxury. It is the foundation upon which every meaningful achievement, healthy relationship, and fulfilling life is built. Guard it with wisdom, strengthen it with discipline, nurture it with gratitude. Because once your inner peace becomes stronger than the noise around you, nothing outside of you will ever have the power to destroy what truly matters within you.